Okay, good afternoon. Welcome to today's lecture. First, let me stop at a special day. Today is the 8th of March, the International Women's Day. When we celebrate all the achievements of women. So let me take this opportunity to wish all the women, I think we're all women, yes, here, in the audience and also the lecturer, Happy Women's Day. I hope that also our project, Languages Matter, helps create a world where all of our achievements, but also efforts, are acknowledged and appreciated on a daily basis, not just once a year. Let me briefly introduce today's lecturer. Professor Nathalie Auger is a full professor and researcher at Valéry University of Montpellier. She specializes in the topics of linguistics and didactics of foreign and second languages, language teaching in multilingual and plurilingual contexts, and the topic of migrations. On the project's web portal, you can actually check an article on a very interesting case study she conducted titled Roma Children and the Inclusion of Home Languages, a study in the south of France. And today she'll be talking about linguistically sensitive teaching in her lecture titled A Language Diamant for Using Plural Multilingualism as a Resource of Choice for Teaching and Learning. Professor Auger, welcome. The screen is yours.
Many thanks, Pluri, for introducing me. It's very nice of you. I really enjoy being with you tonight, and it's an honor to share some research with you tonight and to be able to speak with you all. So I would like to share my screen now, and I would like to say some words about the title. Today I would like to offer you a diamond, because in our multilingual and multicultural context, we have many resources that I think we do not use very much in our classes. And I think all the languages are like a diamond that can be used as a very interesting and powerful resources. So you will see that the diamond is a theoretical model, but it also provides some resources for teachers from kindergarten to university. First of all, we have all issues and challenges in our context. Maybe, I don't know, maybe you will tell me later, but you teach a foreign language, or maybe a regional language, or an heritage language, or maybe an ancient language. Maybe you teach the language of instruction of your country, Slovenian. Maybe you also teach different languages to teach content such as sciences or history or geography. Maybe you teach digital languages, artistic or physical languages also. So you see, we have various classes, ordinary classes. We have also classes for newly arrived pupils. So I don't know if you have the same system in Slovenia. Maybe we can discuss it later. You maybe have content languages classes. In France, we say European classes or section bilingue. We have also in France bilingual regional classes. So we see that we have many different pupils with different multilingual contexts. And my topic is today to give a kind of reunification to all these different and sometimes very separated way of teaching and learning. So maybe later on you can click on the different links. You have the Listiac project, you have the Combat Plus project, Escape project, well, you have different projects that give pedagogical resources to the teachers. We will explore some of them, but of course, you are free to come back later and to be able to surf on the different links. So we are in kind of paradoxical demands, as the European Commission declares in 2018. The pupils should know at least 2 languages in addition to the family languages, and of course they should master the language of instruction of their countries. And at the same time, so we have a multilingual school landscapes, and we would like more international classes and so on. But I think if we see all the resources we have with all the pupils speaking different languages, I think, well, this paradox can be reunited. And we have written a book with my colleague Emmanuel Le Pichon-Wortmann from the University of Toronto in Canada about the fact that, okay, it can be a challenge to have multilingual classes, but of course it's very powerful, and it's a richness to have all this multilingualism in the classrooms. So now I would like to come back very briefly, because I'm sure you know what are the theoretical backgrounds I use in my research. Of course, I use Gumper's resources about the fact that all the pupils and any utterer has got a language repertoire with the totality of linguistic forms regularly employed in socially significant interactions. But also I use Cummins' approach about the independence of languages and the common underlying proficiency, because I think it's very powerful to explain the difficulties and the facilities, and the way it can be easy for some students to go from a language to another one. As you know, in the CFR, these different approaches are in the contents, and you have the definition of the notion of the plurilingual and pluricultural competence. It tends to posit that a single individual does not have a collection of distinct and separate communication skills according to the languages he or she has some command of, but rather a plurilingual and pluricultural competence, which encompasses the whole of the language repertoire at his or her disposal. So you see there is a direct reference to Gumper's and to Cummins in the way the CFR was written in 2001. What are the didactic and pedagogical consequences to this? I think if you read the Guide for the Development of Language Education Policies in Europe by Beako and Byram, that the management of this repertoire implies that the varieties that make up the repertoire should not be approached in isolation, but that, although distinct from each other, they should be treated as a single competence. It's very important. In Europe, you also have the plurilingual approach, meaning that, of course, you should use the diversity of your class to be able to teach a content, different languages, and so on. So it's very important that we know now that in researches, in the different documents from European institutions, we go on the same way. I think it's very important. So you know that all teachers are concerned with this topic, because in any classes, you have to manage the different genres and the different discourses, such as the narrative form, descriptive form, explanatory forms, injunctive or argumentative. It's the same thing from the instructions you give to the kids. All this concern all the teachers. So it's important to understand that all the teachers should be sensitive to languages. I like this design representing the language or the languages of schooling in the center of the model, and then you have the interaction between the foreign languages, modern or classical, and the regional or minority or migration languages. So each time you teach language as a subject or languages in other subjects, of course, you should manage all the languages present in class, not because it's fancy, not because it's important for some ideological reason, because it's more efficient to manage the content you teach and also the language or the languages you teach. So now I would like to switch to the language diamond. So the language diamond is a theoretical model that I've created a few years ago. It's about using Pluri and multilingualism as a resource for teaching and learning. And why did I choose the diamond? It's because, as I said, we are in a very powerful and brilliant field of diamond if the diamonds are the different languages, and each facet of the diamond is able to give a way for teachers to have ideas and resources to teach from kindergarten to university. So it's what I will show you now. So as you see, it's a maximalist model, an holistic model, because it's not a step, a first step, then a second step, and so on to work with the students. It's some facets you can use and that can be powerful for you in any moment when you teach to the students. So I will explain now. So you can see the different facets here. I will explain, maybe it's easier to understand if you see the diamond from the upper side. If you want to know more about it, there's an English and maybe it's in Slovenian article, very short one on the school education gateway from the European Commission. And you have the different facets, and I will show you with examples, videos and examples from different schools that you have facets that are really relevant for your teaching. For instance, of course, identify and value the linguistic repertoire of the class. So how could we do that? So we will see examples. Then use languages as a resource to teach and learn. So how can we do that? Then use plurilingual and pluricultural materials in your classroom. Set up mutual mentoring. Use multilingual and multicultural environments outside class as a resource, of course, including parents, and then raise awareness among educational staff and teachers of all subjects, because I think it's very important to work all together as a team. And what I saw in France is that it's sometimes difficult because we have the difficulty in secondary schools to have a specialist of a content, of of a language, and sometimes it's difficult. Okay, so maybe I will stop just a minute to see if everything's okay. You can see and hear everything. Okay, so I will share again just to check, because I have no feedback and I can't see you and your faces when I speak. It's very strange, and I don't know if everything is okay for you. So now I will work on the first facet. It's about the languages and the norms in our classes and in our schools. Are we able to identify them? Sometimes many teachers say, oh, but we didn't know we had so many competencies, language competencies in our classes. It's incredible. So of course, it's important to identify the languages. And sometimes it's not enough just to ask the students or the pupils, because sometimes they don't dare saying they speak a regional or home languages in front of the others. So what we propose is more about doing language portraits or biographies. I don't know if you are aware of this kind of activities. Brigitte Busch from the University of Vienna brought these examples from the multilingualism present in South Africa, and of course in France we have done the same in the different classes. The kids can choose a color for each language, and they can explain why they have chosen this or that color. And it's very interesting because you have all the motivation, the difficulties that come with the language biography. For instance, the first student will say that French is a new language, so the face is blue because for her it's the color of concentration, and the blue is also on the belly because sometimes she fears speaking French. And you see, it's interesting because of course we are not psychoanalysts, and it's not the aim to do so, but it's very interesting to share a common history in the classes. So I think it's very, very important. So I will show you now a film. You can go on the website called Maledives. It's about teaching majority language and diversity in the different contexts. So I will show you the website. Sorry, I have to go back here. Just a minute. I will show you the film. Here it is. So I will comment at the same time. You have a class of art and design, which is compulsory in secondary schools. You have some pupils coming from different countries or born in France but speaking other languages than French. And during the language biography activities, they were meant to present themselves. So it's very interesting because they could do that graphically, they could do that orally, they could write a text. So you see that meanwhile we do the biography activity, well, you work on your oral or written competencies in France. But at the same time, you learn for the students newly arrived in the south of France, you learn the colors, you learn the verbs, how to deal with your biography, such as cutting, sticking, and so on. And of course, as you see, there is a lot of good feelings in the classrooms regarding the different histories the children were able to make. So well, it was a good experience for the teachers, and for the kids to be aware of all the languages present in class. That's it. So it's just an example, but I would like to show you, well, some video, of course, because I think it's important to not to be only theoretical, but to be able to share real practices. Because if we don't do that, I mean, just, you know, something is missing for me. During the LISTIAC project, Pluri mentioned it. It's about linguistically sensitive teaching. We have also asked pre-elementary schools to participate to creating language trees with all the languages of the pupils. The pupils were from 3 to 6. They were helped by their parents, and it was really interesting because the teachers were able to notice that they have many languages and they could do something. So if you want to know more about this project, please you can go to the LISTIAC French website and you can see all the videos, and they will be soon translated into English, not Slovenian, sorry, but well, you will be able to watch it with a subtitle. Another facet, once you have identified in different ways the language biographies of your kids, is to use the languages as a resource. And for me, there are two ways of using them. First, you can speak the different languages, you can read them, you can write them. And then what we do very often, I think, in Europe, thanks to language awareness pedagogy, is to speak about languages, is to reflect about languages. And I think for me, the two ways are very important. It's like two facets of the same coin. And so I think we should do both, because it's not the same area of the brain which works when you do speak, read, write languages, or speak about languages. I think, you know, it's different. So of course we need both. Very easy way is one of the example of gypsy pupils. I have kept gypsy pupils because the name gypsy is not offensive in France. It's the way the population who lives in the south of France call themselves. They call them gypsies, so it's their name. In the south of France, they speak Catalan, and in a class where you have gypsy pupils, when they have to construct and develop competencies about the language of schoolings, describing the painting The Air from Archibaldo, you see that the gypsy kids do not know how to say chestnut in French. So the teacher asks the pupils to translate it into the Catalan languages, and it's una castaña. And of course, immediately they can memorize and add a new word in their lexicon. So it's a very powerful, it's what Laurent Gaillot calls it micro alternance. It's very easy, you see. So you can look up in the dictionary, you can go online, you can ask your comrades, your friends, and maybe the teacher can know also the different languages. But if they don't know, it's not a problem. Then about writing, I think you know these kind of activities. You have identity texts. in France, the word identity is not well accepted because, well, the complexity of the identity is really ideological for the moment in France. So we have translated it into plurilingual text, and you can see on the website I Am Plurilingual. I will show you just right now that we have made many example of plurilingual text where they can the pupils can of course describe themselves, such as the language portrait, but also they can tell a story, and I will show you. So you can go to the website I Am Plurilingual. I hope you see it now. And Pira, you can just interrupt me if there's something that is not good. And you will see, for instance, les jours de la semaine, and it's a plurilingual book with the different languages. You see, in the city of Sète, it's near Montpellier, and you will see that the children write in the different languages they know at home. So it can be Arabic, it can be Castiliano, it can be Catalan, and of course, as Cummins explained very well in different books, you can start with the languages you know better and then translate it into French, or well, into the language of schooling or instruction, and it's for the best for you because you transfer your competencies. So it's very interesting. You have also the students reading their own text, and it's very interesting because you can see that they are more or less fluent regarding the languages they read. So it's very interesting. So you can see all the project is Gail Prasad's Canadian website, and I've worked. I had the honor to work with Gail for a while, and it's very wonderful what she can do about plurilingualism and the different activities that she makes on the website. So now if I go on with the slides, you have also the possibility to work with all the languages in the kindergarten, and I will show you short videos about how you can do as a teacher when you teach French. It's the language of schooling, but you have many languages in your classroom and you don't know how to deal with it. And if you use the languages as diamond, I think it's very powerful. And of course, it's important also for Francophone students because they can learn from other languages and they can learn other languages. So I will just show you 3 minutes of the film. Oh, I will do something.
C'est du français. C'est vous qui avez choisi la couleur bleue. Donc en français, on sait dire bonjour, au revoir, oui, non, merci, s'il te plaît. En rouge, c'est quelle langue? Alors ça commence par A, oui, je suis d'accord avec vous, mais c'est pas de l'arabe. Alors, on va voir. Hello. Goodbye. C'est quelle langue?
En anglais.
Merci. En anglais. Et en orange, c'est quelle langue? Chut. Alors écoutez. Hola. Adios. Quelle langue?
Espagnol.
Muy bien, espagnol. Ah, en vert. Salam.
En arabe.
Voilà, salam. Salam alaikum.
Slama.
Salama. Ça veut dire quoi, salama?
Slama. Avoir.
Shukran.
Chocolat. Ça veut dire merci.
Et en rose, quelle langue? Alors je vous dis Nangadef, Mangidem, Djeredjef. C'est quelle langue?
En voilà.
Et la dernière, celle où il n'y a rien pour l'instant.
Italienne.
Non.
Oursari.
En Orsari. L'Orsari, c'est la langue des Roms. Et qui c'est qui parle Orsari ici?
Rebecca.
Mais Rebecca, elle n'est pas encore tout à fait prête pour nous dire comment vous dire des mots. Mais bientôt, hein Rebecca? Nous, en tout cas, on attend. Lundi 12, on est parti. Selma. Selem. Amel. Bien. Rebecca.
Hola.
Hola, ¿qué tal? Amir.
Papa.
Oui, Nangader. Amina.
Hello.
Hello, Amina. How are you? Fine. Asia. Vas-y. Salam. Asia. Awa.
Salam alaikum.
Salam alaikum. Rania. Adi ou Rania? Jouaria.
Hello.
Hello. Bien, en anglais. Sarah.
Hola.
Hola, muy bien. 5, 6, 7, واحد زد ثلاثة أربعة 8 7 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10.
Of course, you can see all the videos on the Listiac website created in France. So you can speak, read, or write in different languages, and of course you can also reflect on the different languages. And it's not, to me, it's not the same cognitive process. And it can include the different norms, such as prenormalism, I mean intra-language process we have that we can mix formal, casual, and informal languages. And of course, in the language of instruction, the language is a specific norm. And some of the kids, even if they are a francophone at home in France, sometimes they are not well at ease with using the academic norms, which is required at school. So maybe you have the same phenomenon in Slovenia. So when you reflect on norms, on languages, well, in a way you compare the different languages or norms, and it's an ordinary cognitive activity. And of course, you know that it's maybe easier when the languages are from the same family, such as Romance families of languages, or the Germanic families of languages. But you know, in language awareness, you can also have sometimes intercomprehension according to the language unities, according to the phonemes, the lexicon, the syntax. For instance, U in French is a very, very rare phonemes, but you can find it in very, very in languages that have nothing to do with French. So you see, it's not because the languages are very far from each other that you can't compare them. And it's what I tried to do 15 years ago with a video called Let's Compare Our Languages, where I showed that if you speak in the videos Arabic or Russian, you are able to compare what you know, even if you are in primary schools, to the French grammar regarding syntax, regarding the way of writing, the lexicon, the alphabet, and so on, even if as a teacher, you don't know the home languages of your kids. So we will see a short extract showing how the teacher gives ways of reflecting on the languages without knowing the languages of the pupils. So I will show you a brief extract.
Bien, tout à l'heure, vous me l'avez transformé à la forme négative. Qui me transforme la phrase arabe à la forme négative maintenant? Non. En français, je vais dire la gomme n'est pas sur la table. Et celle-ci, comment je vais la dire?
الممحة ليس في الطاولة.
الميمة ليس
على الطاولة.
ليس على الطاولة. الميمة ليس على الطاولة. On est d'accord? الميمة ليس على الطاولة.
C'est pas ليس.
Ah, c'est peut-être moi qui l'ai mal entendu, tu sais. Leysat taoula.
Well, I will comment a bit because it's not easy, and I see you don't have the English subtitles. I don't know why, but it's very interesting because the first kid came to France in September. We have recorded the video in February, and she couldn't speak French at all. But once the teacher authorizes her to translate into Arabic, she could do that. And the teacher told me, well, it has changed the way of considering competencies. So you see, it's very interesting because some kids say something about Arabic, and then the other one can, be more nuanced about what should be corrected and so on. It's very important because confidence, because trying is very important in such activity.
Il y a un mot qui dit non, alors, là-dedans. Quel est le mot qui dit non? Oleg, d'après toi, quel est le mot en arabe qui va dire non? Est-ce qu'on a changé quelque chose dans cette phrase?
Oui.
Quel mot? Qu'est-ce qu'on a changé?
The teacher asks to a kid coming from Russia, so he doesn't know actually what is the word to say no in Arabic, but it's very interesting because he has been very, very careful and is able to notice. So you see, it's a way to take awareness that you have many different ways of saying no in the different languages, but you have always some words which are very important for doing so.
Leyset. C'est ce mot, les autres, qu'il faut trouver. En russe. Sterka, ligit, nastali. Alors, tu vas nous la prononcer, on va essayer de trouver s'il y a un mot qui dit non.
Sterka не лежит на столе.
Sterka, ni ligit, nastali. Qui peut la redire? Vas-y.
Sterka не лежит на столе.
Sterka.
And of course, it's very funny because some pupils speaking Arabic have difficulties with saying the sentence in Russian and so on. So it gives a very, very nice climate of the classroom thanks to this activity.
Ni ligit.
Не лежит на столе.
Stali. Qui peut venir au tableau, un élève qui ne parle pas russe, c'est trop facile, pour venir me rajouter les mots ou le mot qui dit non. On va voir où est-ce qu'il est. Écris-le.
So the pupil should add
Sterka
the
neligit.
word.
Sterka neligit.
C'est encore.
Fais-moi les gestes que j'arrive bien à le repérer, ce sont.
Comme ça, mettre comme ça.
Ne. Et après.
Mettre comme ça.
Ne.
Et on peut changer. On peut faire стёрка не лежит на столе, et on peut faire стёрка лежит не на столе.
It's very interesting because you say that in Russian, you have two ways of saying a no sentence. And in French, it's the same, because in the oral way, you can use ne and pas, or only pas. So you see, in the different languages, you have many, many different ways of being aware of the way of saying a no sentence. So what I would like to show with all these examples is that instead of saying, well, we don't need home languages, it gives sometimes errors to the kids' productions and so on. Well, we should recycle the languages, recycling. We should take awareness of the different interferences, because thanks to that, we are more willing to infer about a new rule regarding grammar, regarding the way of spelling a word and so on. And we are more conscious. So it's very important to me to recycle the languages and the norm and not leave it aside. The results on students when you use their languages as a resource, not only their languages, not only home languages, but it can be languages they have learned in other classrooms or other contexts and so on. They are more active in the learning process. The activities strengthen their ability to observe, analyze, and relate languages. It doesn't disadvantage the uneducated pupil because they say it's a no sentence. They don't know the metalinguistic word to say a phoneme, syntax, and so on, but they are able to manipulate language without the metalinguistic words, and they work on similarities and differences without this vocabulary. The results on teachers were very interesting too. We saw that the motivation arose from the teachers. They were more aware that pupils have useful knowledge and skills that they could mobilize. It was a new role for them. Sometimes it was scary for some of them, but they see that they were able to help pupils to organize their knowledge that were already present in their cognitive brain. And these activities do not turn the teacher or the pupils into linguists, but simply require more attention to languages. If you teach a content such as math, sciences, history, geography, art, sport, economy, technology, maybe you will be interested in the Combat Plus examples. Combat Plus stands for content-based teaching plus plurilingual and cultural awareness. And for example, you teach geography, you teach the landforms, you take awareness that you have different languages in your classroom, and they describe what is a mountain in the different languages of the classrooms, and then you can find the common elements with the word mountain in each definition. And you can make hypotheses regarding the gender in different languages. In some languages, the gender do not exist, so it's very easy, like in English. So you can say something about the gender of this word according to the different languages, and it's interesting because you can also work on the way how to define a landform. Do you use a determiner like ein, una, or in Spanish, you don't use any determiner. It's montaña with the zero determiner, and it's a way to define a landform. So you see, it's very interesting because the discourse is very linked to the way of teaching. We have another research going on which is called, Binogi Escape. It's about plurilingual pedagogies and digital technology to support the learning of science, technology, and mathematics. You can go to the app if you want to. It's with Canadian and French university, and the purpose is to study how students use the multilingual content of a digital tool to access science and mathematics content. And it's very interesting because the Binogi platform is a compound of videos for secondary schools in chemistry, ecology, biology, and so on. And it's very interesting because you can choose your language. So, for instance, you have Arabic people coming in your class. Well, they can see the video in Arabic with French subtitles, or in French with Arabic subtitles, and then they can, you know, more and more go to the French. And it's very interesting too, because they can work at home with the parents. And the videos are also useful because you have many kids that can't go to a European section to learn English as a content, because it's only for some of the different, some of the kids, but you don't have many rooms. So it's interesting because they can do science in English if they want to. So for the moment, we have 10 languages. You have the video transcripts, and it's very interesting that all the languages can be interesting for anyone. So now another facet is when and how do we use our languages and norms in our class to reach your contents. Your content can be languages or different disciplines. So you see, it's very important to ask yourself this kind of question. Another facet of the diamond is to use multilingual materials. So of course, maybe you think sometimes it's difficult, but you can ask the kids to bring some books or textbooks from their house. You can also borrow or buy a material for your classes or with your school libraries. So do we ask pupils to bring home languages material to classes, or do we borrow and buy material for our classes, or thanks to our school libraries? I think we have to reflect on that. We can also work with data online, thanks to you know, the internet, thanks to the web. It's very easy to find resources in any or many languages. So of course, it's interesting. And I often say that you don't have to do that all by yourself as a teacher. You have to make the kids work on their own materials and create the materials. I think it's very important. Another facet of the diamond is to set up reciprocal mentoring. I think it's very important because, of course, we can have the idea of mediation with languages. For instance, if you have a kid arriving to France, he only speaks, I don't know, let's say Chinese, Mandarin. Well, if you have another kid or kids speaking Mandarin, of course, he can or she can help the newly arrived pupil. But I think it's very important to do the reverse. I think it's very important for the child who is helped very much thanks to languages, with thanks to other friends of the classroom, that he can or she can show she can be brilliant as a diamond also. Sometimes thanks to showing what she or he can do during sports, arts, other languages, and so on. It's very important. For instance, we had newly arrived pupils from Syria. They were very, very good in maths and in English. So when they could show, of course, they were helped in the classroom thanks to Arabic thanks to kids already spoken Arabic in their home, and they could help the newly arrived children. But it was very interesting to see that the Syrian kids were able to show and to help the other kids regarding English or maths. So now, how do we identify the strengths and competencies of our students? I think it's very important to identify all these competencies. Another facet is to use our context outside our schools in a multilingual and multicultural way. So you can watch on the Listiak project a very, very nice experience with a museum of fine arts where the students were able to guide with different languages the visitors, thanks to their parents also. So of course, if you want to see it, it's a very long video. So I will just show you a few minutes, and then you can see its subtitles. It has subtitles in English, so you can see it when you want on the Listiak website.
Ce projet de visite au musée Paul Valéry, d'abord fait partie quand même des programmes de l'école élémentaire, puisque au cycle 3, qui maintenant comprend le CM2 et la 6e, il est compris effectivement de s'intéresser aux arts visuels et notamment au tableau. Donc on est déjà quand même dans l'institution éducation nationale. Il est normal d'aller visiter des musées et donc de s'approprier.
Well, I will go to the preparation, you see. Of the visits, and then the parents were able to make the visit with the kids. So I will just show you an extract.
Ça m'a plu à faire pour les langues, par exemple les gens qui parlent une autre langue à la maison. Dans ma classe, je savais qu'il y avait d'autres langues que le français, mais je ne pensais pas autant.
Il y en avait, je ne savais pas, ils parlaient des autres langues. Moi, je croyais qu'ils parlaient que le français, mais on a appris des choses avec cette personne. On a appris à parler des petits mots en russe, en espagnol, en italien, des choses comme ça. Moi, ça, j'ai trouvé passionnant un petit peu.
是主义的画就是画得很真实，就像画照片一样。 在赛特的街头有一栋房子的墙上，
有一个复印品，这个街头艺术，这叫街头艺术，我很喜欢这幅。
Je l'ai présenté en mandarin. Il y a des gens qui disent que c'est chinois, mais en réalité c'est mandarin parce que il y a plusieurs langues quoi.
Alors, Fong va écrire tableau, le mot tableau en mandarin.
Pour mandarin c'est moi et aide Fong. Mais français, c'est Fong aide-moi.
So you can see all the video on the French Listiak website. So now we should ask ourselves the following question: what interesting environments are next to our schools? Another facet, as you saw in the small video, is to include parents. In another project called Rom Tales, we have included Roma parents who didn't know how to write and read, but they were able to help translating in their Roma language the different description of the paintings. So you can see the videos and you can see it's possible. It's very important to understand that. Then the last facet is to work as a team. It's very important, as I said, that you can have a project or a policy for your school or your class, and it's very important to share all this knowledge with your colleagues. So as you see, The pupils are the starting point of all these projects for now 2 decades. We try to link formal educational, we link formal education with informal and non-formal education. That is what's going on in the families, what's going on in NGOs, associations for teaching languages, and of course the schools. For us, it's very important because we start from the kids to create learning territories, such as a flower. The kid is in the center of the flower, and then you have the different petals, and the petals are the schools, associations, the way you can do sports or arts and so on. And all this is a whole education, a holistic way of educate the pupils. So it's a project called Sirius, Education and Migration. It's an Erasmus Plus project, and of course you can see what's going on in the international website or in the French website regarding Sirius. And it's very important because, and I will give the floor to the pupils.
Ah oui. Parce que toi, si tu as oublié le chinois, c'est pourquoi?
Parce que je ne l'ai pas utilisé. Mais si, par exemple, je vais en Chine, je vais être une semaine en Chine.
Oui.
La mémoire, elle est restée. Les mots, ils sont restés. Et après, j'ouvre la caisse où sont cachés ces mots. Et après, je comprends.
Tu ouvres la caisse où sont cachés ces mots. La caisse, c'est quoi? C'est dans la tête?
Oui, dans la tête.
Ah, c'est comme une caisse, il y a des mots qui sont cachés, oui, comme une caisse à jouer, on a oublié de jouer au fond.
On ne peut pas l'ouvrir tout seul. Il faut que quelqu'un t'aide pour les ouvrir.
I think it's very important because if you start from the pupils, well, you have to help them opening the box of all the resources. So that's why the language diamond approach is a maximalist and holistic vision. You know that we have a heteroglossic, homoglossic, translanguaging approach, and I think all these approaches are very interesting. But what I wanted to do is showing that the language is everywhere. A pan-language approach, meaning that you take all the situations, all the languages, and really thinking that content is also the different contents is also conveyed by the languages. It's very, very important. So all the pupils are beneficiaries from this kind of approach. The school as a place is a place of social cohesion and is a place of valorization of the multiple experiences of the kids for the benefits of all. And you see, it's not only for the benefits of newly arrived children, it's only for the benefit of all the kids that can live nowadays in our multicultural and multilingual societies. So to finish with, I would like to show you a small 3-minute clip that we did for the LISTIAC project. We are here for change, and then you will see the reactions of the pupils to all these sensitive activities. And well, afterwards, I will be very glad to get your opinions and ideas. I will leave the floor to the pupils now.
Parce que dans nos classes ordinaires, les élèves parlent souvent de nombreuses langues.
Je suis espagnole, je parle français et arabe.
Et que nous l'ignorons.
D'abord, je vais mis l'arabe parce que c'est la première langue que j'avais commencé à parler.
Je vais présenter ces tableaux-là en ma langue.
Je vais présenter en mandarin.
Le catalan, j'ai appris à l'école quand j'avais 3 ans.
Pourtant, les langues sont au cœur de notre humanité.
C'est la langue de ma famille.
C'est une langue que je parle à la maison avec mon frère, ma mère et mon père.
C'est notre langue. On ne parle pas arabe.
Au point que parfois les élèves les oublient eux-mêmes.
Je trouvais ça super intéressant de valoriser en même temps ces élèves, de valoriser ces langues qu'on ne connaît pas toujours.
Dans ma
Ces langues, on ne connaît pas toujours.
Dans ma classe, je savais qu'il y avait d'autres langues que le français, mais je ne pensais pas autant.
Japon, tu découvres d'autres langues parce que je ne connaissais même pas. On était dans la même classe, ça fait 2 ans, mais je ne connaissais même pas.
Il y en avait, je ne savais pas, ils parlaient des autres langues. Moi, je croyais qu'ils parlaient que le français, mais on a appris des choses avec ces personnes.
Ça m'a surpris qu'il y ait autant d'enfants qui parlent d'autres langues. Je ne connaissais pas beaucoup de choses sur les gens de ma classe et ça m'a fait apprendre beaucoup de choses.
Je me suis dit, enfin, il y a quelqu'un qui s'intéresse un peu à ma langue, à mes origines, un peu, tout ça. Ça fait plaisir.
C'est leur mettre face à eux ce dont ils sont capables. Et ce dont sont capables les autres aussi.
Et d'apprendre aussi à mon fils l'origine de ses parents. Et voilà, ça nous a rapprochés encore plus.
On a vraiment un étalage de toute leur richesse linguistique dont ils n'ont pas forcément conscience eux-mêmes.
J'ai appris des choses sur mon origine, sur ma langue.
Como lo vemos, el sol ya está fuerte. El cielo es azul. Muestra que es verano.
Est-ce que tu parles d'autres langues à part l'espagnol?
Je parle arabe et un peu de basque.
Plante pan radiante grota e verde portocali de rose.
Les langues sont une ressource puissante pour développer des compétences en langue de scolarisation. Et dans les autres matières scolaires.
J'aurais bien aimé expliquer aux autres ce que ça veut dire. Des mots en arabe. Leur expliquer ce que ça veut dire en français.
Ces élèves-là ont pu finalement conceptualiser peut-être à un niveau supérieur que ce qu'ils auraient pu faire en français. Une classe est loin d'être monolingue. Il faut quand même connaître sa classe pour pouvoir parler le même langage, c'est-à-dire pluriculturel et plurilingue.
Est-ce que tu as vraiment aimé travailler sur la langue de ta famille?
Il y avait tout le monde qui était fier de sa langue.
Sorry, you can't see all the subtitles because of the way the video is organized on the slides, but well, you can see that on the Listiac website. And really, I would like to thank you very much. And now we can have a discussion.
Thank you very much for this. I think everyone agrees, very interesting presentation with lots of very useful and illustrative examples and resources. I also posted in chat a link to a website where the others can find also the video on translanguaging that you showed us, and they can use English subtitles there. So yes, do we have any questions or comments from the audience? I can see my colleague.
I would be very glad to understand what's going on in Slovenia regarding your own context and see if something rings a bell for you or if you are over concerned, or I think it could be nice.
Maybe I can go first. You said at the very beginning how important it is for the teachers first to become aware of all the languages that are in their classrooms, in this learning environment. I know it's not, let's say, very common, but still, what about if teachers by any chance teach in classes that are not linguistically diverse, and they still want to teach in this linguistically sensitive way? What can they do? How can they bring other languages into their classes? Because I know that some teachers told me I would love to, but I somehow have, it's usually maybe rural areas with smaller classrooms. Do you have any suggestions for them?
Because most of the time you don't have many multilingual or plurilingual kids in your classes. That's what you mean?
Actually, I think that in Slovenia we have also more and more languages in our classes. Again, also languages that we might not be aware of, right? So that that are not that, let's say, obvious, or as you said, to some children it is not. They might be even ashamed of their family language, so they are not willing to share that with the rest of the class. But there are also environments that, well, schools that have linguistically homogeneous classes. So, but these teachers still want to give this not just the idea, but to create this linguistically, so plurilingualism friendly environment, right?
Yeah, but it's very interesting because they can use, of course, the other languages taught in the schools, because I'm sure that you have the language of instruction, but you have also other languages that are taught in the school. So what I said with the pan language approach I proposed with the diamond is that you use all the languages present in your environment. So it can be the languages that are taught, and maybe you have 1, 2, or 3 other languages plus the language of instruction. So you see, you have very easily 3, 4 other languages. So it can be a start. And of course, I'm sure that if the teachers encourage the language biographies for the kids, they will understand that they have maybe more diversity than they think. Because in France, it's what we have. Because you have kids that are born in France, they speak French very well, they have been to kindergarten. So the teacher do not identify the kids with all the competencies. And it's not identifying for identifying, it's no use doing so. It's just that you have here resources, very powerful resources that you can use afterwards. So I think if you dig a little bit, you will have diversity, don't worry. Homogeneity, well, I don't believe in it, because when you are 2, you are in heterogeneity for the first time.
Right. Yes, thank you. Even dealing with dialects, we have a lot of dialects in Slovenia. And as you said, yes, if we go maybe a few steps back, generation-wise, right? We find we might realize that.
It's what I said about pluri norms and the intra language, that you have many dialect or many different norms, and the language of instruction is something very specific compared to the dialects and so on. So, but thanks to the dialects, you can understand more about the academic norm of your language of instruction. So I think you have to recycle, as I said, all the languages and norms and dialects. It's the same for some of the students I have. They come from China, and in China you have many dialects, and they say, oh no, it's no use doing so, it's only Mandarin. But sometimes, thanks to the dialects, it's easier for them to speak some of the phonemes that in France that are in their dialects, and that doesn't exist in Mandarin. So you see, it's always interesting, because you have always something to learn, something to connect, and something that give you a feeling of linguistics security, as Labov said. So it's very interesting, because of course you have the cognitive interest of all of this plurilingual matters, but you have also all the psychoaffective effects. And for me, it's 50-50. Yeah?
Thank you. Anyone else? Maybe you can share your experiences. Maybe you've tried any of the things already in your classes, and you can share the results. I see that my colleague Natasha Perisvetina is with us. Maybe she can join in. Maybe another question from me then. I know that you have a lot of experience with various projects on different levels. What is your, what do you think should be done, or what is effective on national level? How can we, what can be done on national or regional level to ensure that schools become this plurilingualism friendly environments, friendly and safe environments for all the languages?
Well, we have mentioned the Listia project, and Slovenia was part of it. It's about giving more sensitivity to teachers regarding the languages. So of course, we hope that our Ministry of Education will be able to make recommendations in their programs to reinforce sensitivity regarding languages from kindergarten to university, whether you are a language teacher or a teacher of different content. So of course it's very interesting. So what the diamond approach is the language diamond is an approach you can deal with at different level. You can do that in your own class. You can do that at the scale of your school. If you want to, just you can identify the languages in your school, like the language tree, as you saw. And of course, it can be a policy for your class, for your school, and it can be a regional or a national policy to use the languages as a resource, thinking about languages, reflecting like language awareness, but also using all the languages in order to better understand. As an example, my son is 14 and he's been learning Spanish for 3 years, and he told me, well, I think I'm good in verbs because you know, he has a good memory, and okay, now he knows how to learn verbs. And he said, but my vocabulary is terrible. I don't know how to speak Spanish. And I said, well, do you know how many common lexicon we have between Spanish and French? He said, no, I don't know. Even my husband, who is a linguist, didn't know. He said, oh, I don't know, maybe 79%. Mm-hmm. So I told my kid, well, you know, you don't know the word. Well, try a French word with an O or an A, huh? Because in French, you just put an O and an A and you have the Spanish word, and maybe it will work. If it doesn't work well, it's no big deal. It's better to do that than doing nothing. And one of my students told me, well, you know, Mrs. Auger, if you do that during some examination, you will have a 0 or something like that. I say, okay, but when you try, it's better trying than doing nothing. And I think sometimes we can see that in the classrooms, that the kids do not dare, the teachers do not dare, and then nothing's going on. It's just a very classical and traditional approach. So we are less efficient. We know how to be efficient, and it's not you know, ideological, saying, well, plurilingualism is beautiful and so on. It's just because it works. It works at both level, cognitive and psychoaffective. So I think we should do that for the sake of the pupils, of course, but also for the sake of the teachers. They will see that the kids are more able maybe than they think.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I think you're right. We should put more emphasis on stressing the pluses, all the positive consequences. Also in terms of mental health, we know that well, and also cognitive abilities for our old age and so on. And I think I agree with you that what is key is to welcome all languages, because I think a problem still that we're still facing is that there's this distinct status of individual languages. So in Slovenia as well as in other environments, I think we tend to favor some languages over others, and this is true for all levels from elementary school onwards. So this is something that we need to work on.
Yeah, in France too, the parents would like English everywhere in the primary schools because it's useful. And of course it's useful, it's important. But, you know, thanks to other languages, you can be better in your English competencies. So you see, everything is linked. This is what language is. So, and languages are, because you have the same word in English, but in French there are two words, langage and langue, idiomas, and so you and of course it's language as a whole, and also all the languages that constitutes the language awareness and the ability and the strategy that you develop for one language that can be useful for other languages. And I think we should think like this. It's very important.
And really stress linguistic repertoires. So not aim for native-like proficiency, which was, which I think also causes all this anxiety in people. As you said, instead of just trying to communicate, we're so afraid of making mistakes that we rather just not communicate at all. So this is also often a problem.
Yeah, and I always say to my students, when you were born, did their parents give you a dictionary and a grammar book? Of course not. What did you do? You spoke with them, you tried, and your parents were not always saying, oh no, it's bad, or no, of course not. So I think we are we had very you know, interesting approaches that we have developed all along the way, with the written approach, the traditional approach with grammar and so on. But now we know it's more complex than this. And of course, you have very interesting things in the traditional approach regarding translating and so on. But it has to be adapted in a whole holistic approach, because if not, well, it's not very efficient. I mean, you see on the PISA report that the results are not good. So you want more languages, you want more international context in your school, but you have it. So what
already there,
just use it. It's just, you know, like a mine with diamonds, you just sat on it, but you don't do anything about it. And I think you have to see, we have, because of course it's the same for me, we have to see things differently. But of course it's difficult because we as teachers, we are always sometimes insecure because the pupils have competencies we do not have. So it's a threat. We should master everything. So you know, deeply, but you know, I come from intercultural backgrounds. So for me, you have always something to learn from the others. So it's not a threat. It's something you can, but the teachers should say themselves, okay, I'm in intercultural context and I will learn things and I will have to trust my my pupils, and it's very interesting and so on. But it's not a lack of authority.
I think this was really nicely shown in the video where the teacher said, it's difficult for me. I think he tried to pronounce the Russian sentence. Or, yeah. So it's difficult for me, I don't speak it. And I could hear the laughter of the pupils, right? They probably relaxed because exactly that. He wasn't good at it. And there were pupils who were able to teach him, to correct his pronunciation. So you're right, we should let them bring their expertise when it comes to languages into the classroom and acknowledge them, right? Because as you said, they're there, but just need to give them.
That's why I kept these small videos, because it's not you know, a wonderful world and so on. It's just that it's another context. You have to be more you know, attentive. You are to learn things from the pupils, and it's very interesting because it's a way to improve ourselves. For everyone.
What he also did, I checked that video beforehand earlier today, and I don't think we saw that But what he said, he interpreted the pupils' mistakes, referring to this interference of his mother tongue. I think it was Russian, with the two ways of negating the sentence. Right? He said, now I understand why you do that. So you see, now you. So this is something that can really help, because sometimes what also our colleagues that are not language teachers say, but I don't have time for this, right? I don't. But if you see it as a useful tool for reaching the results in your area, because so many things are done through language that you can see how sometimes a misunderstanding of the concept has the root in the language, maybe a home language of the pupil. And this is probably the awareness that you stressed at the beginning, so that we are aware of it.
Yeah, you're right. Thank you.
Okay, I think that we don't have any more questions, or anyone? It's usually after the lecture, I think we're also trying to, how should I put it, digest all the new information that we learned. Yes, it was a lot, but now in your PowerPoint, there are so many links that they can use to then check and get further information on whatever whatever they find interesting or more relevant for their teaching. So thank you very much. Thank you to you and all the participants. I'm really happy that you took the time to participate in today's talk. Again, it was very interesting. I think it was one of the most interesting talks that we had. A very, very useful. This is what we need. We need resources. We need examples of good practice that we can then not directly transform, but somehow use and import into our teaching practice. So thank you for this. And I wish you all the best. Enjoy.
Wish you all the best to you too.